Good morning, my dear students, and warm welcome to the geography lecture of the 10th standard. My dear students, in the previous lecture, we had started with the lesson that is human settlements, and in the introduction, I had told you that we have got various settlement patterns, what we can see in both India as well as Brazil. That is about dispersed settlements. Okay, we had still seen about all of them in the previous lecture. Now, my dear students, whenever we want to divide any settlement, we can broadly divide the settlement into two different parts. Okay, we can divide it into two different ways. The first one is the rural settlement. Rural settlement is basically a settlement which we can find in the villages, and on the other hand, we have got the urban settlements, that is, which we can call it as a city or a town. So, today's lecture, we are going to see about the urbanization in India and the urbanization in Brazil also. Let us begin. The level of urbanization is measured in the terms of percentage of urban population to its total population. So, my dear students, whenever we are talking about the level of urbanization, we can measure urbanization. That means how urbanized a particular area is. We can measure that basically by seeing how many people are living in the urban areas from the total population. So is it clear? That is, out of the total population, how many people are living in the urban areas. By that I can determine, I can say how urbanized a particular area is. Now the below graph, that is 7.5, shows you the trend of urbanization in India. Now you have to look at the graph very carefully, okay, and answer the questions that are there below it. What was the percentage of urbanization in 1961? So my dear students, if you see 1961, you can see that it was 18.0. Okay, so the percentage was 18.0. Okay, then in which decade was the urbanization the highest? So my dear students, we can see that in 1971 to 81 it was the highest, because you can see it is a straight line which is going from year to year. Okay, so it was the highest over here in 1971 to 1981. So likewise, my dear students, you have to answer the remaining questions, and this is a homework what is there for you all, and you have to submit it to me by today evening. Okay, so I'm giving this as a homework to you all. Okay, now we shall go with the geographical explanation. It is clear from the above graph that the growth of urbanization in India has been very slow. So my dear students, if you look at the graph, you can see that the rate of urbanization what is there in India, 1961 it was 18.0, and now today in 2011 it is only 31.2, which shows that the rate of urbanization is quite slow in India when you compare them with other developing nations. Okay, the level of urbanization in India in 2011 was 31.16. Just now we saw it in the graph, which is quite low in comparison to developed countries. So when you compare them with developed countries, my dear students, it's quite low. So the rate of urbanization in India is quite low. At the same time, the urban population is increasing. Expansion of urban centers and emergence of new towns have played a significant role in the growth of urban population and urbanization in the country. But my dear students, there is a positive point also regarding the urbanization in India, and that is that there is slowly an expansion of urban centers. There are new urban centers which are emerging, okay, and new towns which have played a very significant role. Okay, new towns are emerging, new urban centers are emerging. Due to that, the urbanization level of the country is slightly gone higher. Okay, now if you look in the entire country, we can see that the southern part of India is having more urbanization than that of the northern part. Okay, so the southern part of India has got more urbanization than that of the northern part. Now in southern part we have got states like Goa, which is the most urbanized, with 62% population living in the urban areas. So my dear students, in the entire country, Goa, if you see, is the most urbanized state with about 62% of the population living in the urban areas. If you compare them, then Delhi has got 80% urban. Okay, but Delhi is a union territory. Okay, remember that. In the states of Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Kerala, urbanization is more. So if you see practically most of the southern states, okay, whereas northern states, if you see Himachal Pradesh, Jammu Kashmir, Uttarakhand, Bihar and Rajasthan are having very low levels of urbanization. So comparatively these states in the south are having very low urbanization. Therefore we can say that the rate of urbanization is more in the south and less towards the north. Okay, my dear students, so that is all about the urbanization about India. Now next let us go to Brazil. As I told you, my dear students, you had seen a line graph in India, so that same type of a graph you have to draw over here in Brazil, and you have to answer the remaining questions and submit this also for me as a homework. So you have to draw a line graph. You have seen how to draw a line graph in the India's urbanization, what you had seen, and I had taught you all this last year also. Okay, so it's very easy. You have to draw the line graph based on this data what is present over here and submit it to me by evening. Okay, my dear students, next we shall go with the geographical explanation, okay, of Brazil. Brazil is one of the few developing countries which is highly urbanized. So we can see exactly the opposite of India. Brazil is highly urbanized. Okay, Brazil substantial urban growth process is a unique and one of the underlying factors contributing to the present day rapid economic growth. So if you see today, one of the major factors which makes Brazil different from other developing countries is the growth rate of urbanization what is present over there in Brazil. Okay, it's one of the most unique patterns of urbanization that the world has seen. Today there is about 86% of Brazil's population living in urban areas. So today 86%, you can see how high it is when you compare that with India. Okay, in India it is about 31.16. So when you compare that with Brazil, you can see that it is very high with about 86. Okay, definition of urban is not very clear in Brazil because 86% of the entire country is urban. So therefore it becomes very difficult to tell what is a real urban area over there. In Brazil, rapid urbanization happened mainly in the south and southeast, with Sao Paulo emerging as the major metropolitan and industrial area. Okay, so now you might have heard and the previous lectures also that the south and the southeast of Brazil is mostly urbanized. Okay, mostly having very high population over there, having a very good climate over there. Okay, so out of them, Sao Paulo is one of the major cities which is urban and which is a major metropolitan also over there. Now looking at the growth rate in few parts of the country, so the government has seen that the urbanization in the country is not equal in the whole country of Brazil. There is only the south and southeastern part of Brazil which is urbanized. Therefore the government has now started promoting go west policy. Now what is the meaning of this? So as to reduce the population and the urbanization, okay, in the south and southeastern part, the government is helping the people to go towards the west. That is why it is said as go west policy. Okay, and this will also reduce the regional imbalance in the country. So certain places very high population, very high urbanization, and other places very low population and very low urbanization. Therefore the government is trying to bring a balance between them. Okay, so that is the major reason why they are following the policy called as go west policy. So you have got a choropleth map over here as you have seen over here. Okay, so you have to answer again these questions and send it to me in the evening as a homework. So let us see. As you can see from the map, urbanization has occurred more in the coastal areas than in the states of the interior of the country. So we can see over here, my dear students, that it is these states, okay, south and southeastern states, where the urbanization is very high. Therefore the government is following a policy called as go west. So my dear student, this is the west. Okay, this side is the western part of Brazil. So the government wants the urbanization to be balanced in the entire country. Therefore they are following the policy called as go west policy. Okay, states like Sao Paulo, Goiás, Minas Gerais have had more urban population than in the north, as the population is less in the Amazon basin and the Brazilian highland. Urbanization is also less. In this part, Manaus is a port of confluence of the river Negro and Amazon. Urbanization has occurred over here. So my dear students, I would like to show you a place. Here you can see this Manaus. Okay, this place over here, this is the only place which is having quite high population in the Amazon basin. Why? Because it is a very important place. It's a place of confluence. Confluence is nothing but meeting of two rivers, that is Negro and Amazon. Okay, there are two big rivers which are meeting over here, that is river Negro and river Amazon. Don't forget this sentence. This is a very important sentence. Manaus is a port of confluence of the Negro and the Amazon. Okay, so therefore the only place in the entire Amazon basin, it is Manaus, which is having very high population. Okay, my dear students, I hope it is clear for you all till here. It is very simple to understand, very easy to understand, nothing much of which is very difficult to understand and so on. So therefore I have finished also very quickly. We have done with this lesson. Okay, and this lesson is there for in the coming practice test. I'll be sending you all the notes also today. Please start studying the notes. Okay, objectives, you have to study all the objectives, no looking only at textual questions. Study all the objectives, and for the remaining things you can only study the textual questions. Is it clear, my dear students? So all the best for your exams that are going to come in the next week. Stay home, stay safe, take care of yourself and your families. God bless you all.